lot of you already done your grocery shopping, of course. Might have to do a last-second run if you forgot something. But if you did that grocery shopping for Thanksgiving, you probably noticed that the groceries cost you more this year than it did maybe last year or in many years that you can remember. Why? Because inflation is up 5.4% from a year ago. And we have the prices of meat, poultry, fish, eggs up over 10%. Yes, even that turkey, you might have noticed, on average is costing 25 cents more per pound than it did last year. So between supply chain disruptions, labor shortages, inflation, getting the food on the table has been a huge concern, especially at a lot of the nation's food banks and other places that are trying to make sure no one goes hungry. I want to bring in now Jilly Stephens, CEO of City Harvest. It is so good to have you here with us. And I want to make the distinction. You all, we've talked about food banks. You all are a food rescue. Explain exactly what that means.
That's right, TJ. Well, first, thank you for having me. Food rescue organization is one that captures really great food that would otherwise go to waste, and we deliver it free of charge right here in New York City to a network of around 400 food pantries and soup kitchens. Typically, all of the food we rescue is donated, although the pandemic did change that for us. Okay,
change how? Because my jaw almost dropped to hear you say that, right, you depend on, you all don't go out and buy food. You get donations, but that helps you with your operations. You all had to start actually buying food. How rare is that for a food rescue to now have to go buy food?
For this food rescue, City Harvest, very rare. Wow. In a typical year, the only food we would buy is Thanksgiving turkeys because we can never get those donated. But because of the pandemic, we had to start buying food to make sure we could deliver enough food to feed our neighbors here in New York City. And that's very unusual for us. We did that all through the pandemic, and we're projecting to continue to do it for a while to come.
Now, how much of that, and you help me understand, is it so much of the need went up, or you weren't getting the donations were going down, or both of those things are colliding?
Oh, donations stayed high. We were very fortunate, and the need skyrocketed. Wow. Overnight in New York City at the beginning of the pandemic, particularly by the summer last year, we saw about 20% of our neighbors out of work, and a lot of people live paycheck to paycheck, and so it was a devastating moment, and people turned to food pantries in greater numbers than they ever had before.
Help us here, and I'm always, and we don't do a good job of it here. Sometimes the media is just as guilty of this, but so much emphasis and focus is put on donations and food around the holidays, around the season of Thanks. The need doesn't go anywhere year-round, though.
The need is there year-round, and we do turn our attention to it, especially around the holidays. It's sort of in our DNA to think about others, especially at that time. But at City Harvest, you know, we have people supporting us year-round, and that's what makes our work possible. You've been the head of City Harvest now in this position for, I think you said 15 years. Put in some context where you are now, the needs you're seeing now. You've given us kind of an idea. But where we are now compared to where you've seen the past 15 years? Well, I can tell you when I first joined City Harvest about 15 years ago in this position, we were delivering about 20 million pounds of food. Last year we delivered 155 million pounds of food. Wow. And so the need in the city is incredible. Even before the pandemic, we know that about 2.4 million New Yorkers were struggling to make ends meet. And that's why our trucks need to roll every single day, delivering that great food free of charge across the 5 boroughs. People heard everything we just said, and they hear that the need is there. They want to help. How can they do it? Many ways to help. Of course, financial donations are the most effective way. It helps us get that extra food in that we need to get in, and so people can go to cityharvest.org and find out how to donate, and also how to do something like volunteer with us. We're an organization that was founded by volunteers almost 40 years ago. So we still need volunteers, and I should say that in that nearly 40-year history, we've rescued and delivered over £1 billion of food. And I think worth noting that 220 million pounds of that was just since the pandemic. Oh my goodness, great. The numbers you have given us here are just incredible, but it puts it in perspective what this pandemic has done. Jilly Stephens, thank you for being here. Thank you for your work. You've been at it for some 15 years now, and I'm sure you're going to continue probably for a ways to go. But thank you so much, and enjoy your holiday as well. Thank you so much. You too.
Well, hey Hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.